Y'all, the frontal lobe is really coming together because all of a sudden it's shit making sense to me that it never made sense to me before. Let's take ravyn lenae's latest album, for example. I listened to it once when it came out and I was like, it's not really for me.
I didn't hear that.
Not really for me. Sometimes it's okay not to have an opinion on something after listening to it once, and I'm learning that because fast forward 6 months later and I'm addicted. Okay? I listen to the album once a day minimum. So, I'm here to say, Raven baby, I apologize. I apologize. I was asleep, but now I'm up. I am so up and tuned into whatever it is that you're doing. Okay? Hello. Welcome or welcome back. My name is Joyce. I'm an interdisciplinary artist, mainly working with image making, writing, acting, and honestly, so much more. I love reflecting on life and critically engaging with the art I consume on a daily basis. So, if that's your jam, make sure you subscribe because I'm your girl. Okay? Let's get into it. I fully credit One Wish, which is one of the lead singles on the album, and most importantly, the video which accompanies the song for making me fall in love with Raven. Um, from the content of the song to the visuals, everything about it feels so quintessentially rooted in the coming of age genre, which I adore. Honestly, whether it's a song, a book, a TV show, a film, if there's a character reckoning with life and self actualizing at the end, you need to sign me up. I love it. Inject it. I love it bad. So, I'm gonna talk about the song itself, the lyrics, then dissect the visuals. But first, let's get a little backstory on Miss Raven Lenae. Raven Lenae Washington was born on January 22nd, 1999. She's an American R&B singer-songwriter hailing from Chicago. Raised in the church, she credits her participation in worship with helping develop her interests and abilities in music. There is such a pattern here when it comes to the church being the reason why some of my favorite artists are doing what they're doing today. Um, Shout out to the church. They put these niggas in the choir. They did this shit once or twice and we're like, you know what? I actually fuck with this music shit and I want to do more of it. So, shout out to gospel. Shout out to the church. Shout out to Jesus. Okay? All right. Raven began songwriting in middle school and attended a high school for the arts where she studied classical music. She released her debut EP titled Moon Shoes independently at 16 years old. Do you want to know what I was doing at 16 years old? Probably nothing important. So, 16 is crazy. And then she has followed up with two additional EPs, Midnight, Moonlight, and Crush, and two studio albums, Hypnos and her latest, Bird's Eye. Raven's sound can be described as dreamy, romantic, poetic, soulful, and sweet. When asked about her intentions when making the album, Raven said, Bird's Eye signifies returning to a place of self trust and unbending intuition while acknowledging the paths and turns I've taken to get here. Revisiting the most basic parts of my identity has allowed me to fully embrace them and be proud of where I'm going. Over 11 tracks, Raven comes of age. She turns back the clock to re encounter the girl she was at different points in time and relives the moments which have shaped the woman she has become. She examines her 20s in more intimate and grounded ways. She goes back and forth between situationships, fragmented family ties, and post breakup reflections, analyzing them with a fresh perspective and acknowledging her growth. On the track One Wish, Raven revisits memories of her 10th birthday party at which her father wasn't present. She expresses her pain, wishes she could forgive him, but she can't, nor can she forget him. Although she wishes he was there, she isn't willing to spend her birthday wish on him. In essence, the song is about abandonment, grief, and longing for a father who is present. Rather than recreating the birthday party, director Andre Muir, I really hope I didn't butcher his name, but director Andre Muir chose to lean into the feeling of abandonment. what abandonment evokes, and the repercussions it likely had on Raven throughout her life. With the help of director of photography Brendan Hoeg, I also hope I didn't butcher his name, various moments of Raven's life from childhood to adulthood are depicted through a very melancholic lens. We see Raven's father dropping her at her mom's house as a child and driving off. We see her as a young woman going through a bunch of abusive relationships, looking for healing in all the wrong places, and then finally choosing herself in the end. It's a mini coming of age film that perfectly encapsulates the journey Raven goes on through the album. Here are the elements of the video that stood out to me. Number one, in terms of storytelling, almost every shot features a car. Whether the shot is happening inside the car or there's a car in the frame, there is a car present almost the entire time. And I think the presence of the car serves both functional and symbolic purposes. Functionally, it literally drives the story forward by taking us through different stages of Raven's life. Symbolically, it's a foundational component of Raven's trauma. The car is a constant reminder of the abandonment she has suffered from the most important male figure in her life as a child. And broadly, the car also represents her lack of control over her own life. And I say this because in the majority of the scenes, Raven sits in the back seat or passenger side, whether the car is driven by her father, a friend, a lover, or whatever. She plays the role of the observer until she decides to make a change and break the cycle of hurt she puts herself through. Only then does she sit in the driver's seat. Number two, the editing isn't linear. The scene meant to symbolize Raven getting abandoned by her father is caught up in different bits, which are mixed with scenes of her life as an adult to show that her past wound still dictates the choices she makes as an adult. Number three, the cinematography is excellent. Brendan Hoeg, the director of photography, has a strong sense of style, and I found the composition of many of his shots visually arresting. So let's take a close look at some of my favorites. The opening shot is gorgeous. It introduces us through a slow push out to young Raven by revealing her hair before her face. Based on her hairstyle, it's clear as day that we're dealing with a child before her face is revealed. I noticed that Brendan tends to frame his subjects by filling one portion of the frame and populating the rest with negative space or elements that do not have the same visual weight. This shot sets the tone for the pattern of unbalanced visual compositions that are spread throughout the video. Here, the subjects occupy the lower half of the screen. They are placed in the foreground, bottom left, and the card divides the screen into two parts. So we have a top half and a bottom half. The rest of the image here is filled with the parking lot they're in, but our eyes are attracted to the bottom part because that's where the visual weight is. You have two subjects, the car, and then the rest is basically just negative space. I love this shot so much, not only because of the composition, but because it's just done so cleverly. There's Raven doing her friend's hair. The sky is a gorgeous blue. There isn't much lighting happening, but they have a car drive by and illuminate the subjects with the headlights, which adds a lot of warmth to the image and it contrasts with the blue of the sky. It's gorgeous. I love it. This shot is gorgeous. It is one of my absolute favorites in the entire music video. In terms of composition, it follows the principles Brandon has already established in terms of visual weight. But the angle from which they've chosen to shoot this is so gorgeous to me. And I wished I was in it. I wish I was in that scene having fun with my girls. It's so girlhood core. I love it. Down. This following shot, also gorgeous. If you split the image down in half vertically, the second half is much heavier than the first, and that just draws your eye onto the subject. Given I'm personally more attuned to compositions in which the visual weight is more evenly distributed within the frame, Brendan's choices were destabilizing when I first watched the video, but that's what made it so memorable to me. I command his his eye. In this shot, the car divides the frame roughly in half, again, vertically. The camera is placed atop the car, and it forces us to follow Raven's father as he drives away. However, both the composition of the shot and the focus of the lens invite us to focus on young Raven. It's clever and results in a great visual effect.
Daddy, Daddy, the sun is in my eyes.
All you have to do is close your eyes, baby.
I love this shot especially for storytelling purposes. During the car ride between young Raven and her dad, at some point, Raven gets the sun in her eyes and turns to her dad for protection. In this shot, Raven as an adult is in the car with her lover, whose head protects her from the sun until he moves away. Placing the camera on Raven's side and directing the lover to move his head to reveal the sun was such a great storytelling choice because it likens her lovers to the sun, which is overpowering in nature, and thus effectively binds childhood and adulthood in one image. In this series of images, I'd say the composition is a bit more traditional, but I love them in particular because they exude the essence of the summertime. You have vivid greens, friendship, warmth, youth, and the way the light fills the scenes makes them look absolutely magical. Once again, I wish I was part of that friend group and I was in those scenes because how gorgeous. Wow. One Wish was such a great introduction to Raven Lenae's world. And after watching the video for Love Me Not, which I also really enjoyed, I noticed the same cinematographer worked on it. I think they're a great match because the way Brandon captures images perfectly encapsulates the feelings Raven is trying to convey through her lyrics. I cannot wait to see what else they make together. And I'm rooting for Pilot and One of One. I really need videos for those because they're some of my favorite tracks on the album. What about you? Are you familiar with Raven? Have you heard the album? Do you love it? What video do you want to see next from her? Let me know in the comments. All right, that's it for me. Bye.